Hi there. If you're new to thinking about your relationship as one that is neurodiverse or describing your relationship as a mixed neurotype relationship, then this video is for you. I'm Budlong-Morse. I'm a certified neurodiverse couples therapist, and I'm here today to talk to you about some of the common feelings and experiences that go along with totally reorienting yourself to your relationship, as well as provide you a few tips to help you navigate this process. So in a lot of ways, when you first start to think about the possibility your relationship is neurodiverse or mixed neurotype, in a lot of ways, the image that comes to mind for me is like watching a movie that you thought was going to go one way, or that seemed to be this one kind of story. And then you get to the end and there's this twist, right? This twist at the end of the movie, maybe in the last 5 or 10 minutes. And once the credits are rolling, like your jaw is still on the floor and you have no idea what you just watched. And you have this urge to just like go back and watch the whole thing again with this new awareness of the twist and how that changes everything you just saw you were looking at in the movie. And that can absolutely be what the feeling is like when you've been with someone, loved someone, known someone for a significant period of time. And one day, either because someone suggested it to you, or maybe you went down some internet rabbit hole, or just a light bulb went off for you, you had this aha moment, or maybe a series of little ahas that added up. And you're now in this place where you're thinking, okay, wait, maybe one of us is neurodivergent, or maybe we're both neurodivergent, or maybe like we thought I have ADHD, but I actually also have autism, or whatever else the thing is. But you're now in a place where you've got this new map, this new lens that helps you understand yourself, helps you understand your partner, and more importantly, it can help you really begin to understand what happens between the two of you and how your brains interact, and the different things you might want to need, and the different kinds of ways you communicate. All those good things can actually start to finally make sense and feel like it's so much easier once you know, oh, there's neurodiversity here, or oh, there's some autism here in me or in you, or there's some ADHD here in me or you, or both of us, right? So when you're first taking on this new lens, this, like I said, this twist at the end of the movie, like reorienting to what has happened, what have you experienced, what are the patterns and themes in your relationship. Some of the common things that people feel is it's all the things, lots of different things. And in some ways, the emotions feel contradictory. You may swing kind of wildly between one emotion one day and a totally different emotion another part of the day. I'll just acknowledge that for me, when I was coming into recognition that someone really important in my life was autistic, something that would happen for me is I would one day have these feelings of like, we're going to go on Oprah and we're going to tell our story on Oprah, and it's going to be so inspirational and incredible, and sort of these like fantasies of this really immense hope, right, for what could be ahead for the relationship. But then maybe later that same day or the next day, I might feel like, oh, this is overwhelming. I don't even want to think or talk about this. It feels like hopeless. It feels like so much to sort through, So I think versions of both those things are really common for people, right? They maybe not as extreme as going on to Oprah, but there might be ways in which it's like you almost hear, the choir singing in the background, and these sort of like beautiful moments of, wow, there is a love here that I never quite saw like this before, or wow, there are possibilities ahead of us. There are ways we can finally communicate and connect and understand each other. So all those like really positive feelings of relief and hope and gratitude and even like this love and admiration for this person who maybe you misunderstood because you didn't have this neurodiversity framework to understand them and to understand your relationship. But alongside that, there's also a lot to sort through in terms of like things that have happened in the past that either you weren't able to let yourself really acknowledge or look at before. Maybe it was just so confusing or so like kind of surprising that you just didn't quite know what to do with that experience. And so you tucked it away somewhere. So you might find yourself replaying some moments in the relationship that were painful or particularly difficult and sort of re-narrating them, right? Just like what it's like to watch a movie from the beginning once you know how it ends. You might find yourself doing that and sometimes reliving things that were positive or things that were neutral, but other times often reliving some things that were really painful or really difficult and finally being able to see them in this new light. And as you see them in this new light, there can be some positive feelings, but there also can be just this connection with yourself, with your past self, and for the suffering and struggles that you've been through that you didn't have words for or a way to really understand it and validate yourself for it before. So folks often also feel grief, regret, sometimes shame over things that they've done. There can be even anger that surfaces, either anger toward your partner or anger that you didn't know this sooner, anger at whatever mental health professionals or other people in your life didn't listen to you when you tried to in some way, talk about things or name things that might have gotten you toward exploring this neurodiversity lens. So conflicting feelings and a lot of replaying old memories. And the two together, like I said, it can feel kind of like a roller coaster, a lot of ups and downs. It can feel pretty intense at times, but the highs that are in there are really high. And so while the lows that are in there can feel really low at times too, it's important to let yourself feel some of both, because that roller coaster you give it a little bit of time, and I'm going to talk about some steps to take, but you give that roller coaster some time and it is going to kind of pull into the station, and you're going to get off of it and have this clarity and this relief and this sense of being on steady ground and having a lot more predictability and orientation to your relationship. So there's hope, right? And if you don't kind of ride the roller coaster, if you try to sort of like leap out and avoid all these feelings, you're not going to get to where you need to get. You got to let the roller coaster run its course so that you can pull into the station and kind of put all that together in a way where you're going to feel a lot more grounded in your relationship. So that's a little bit about what it can feel like and what you might find yourself like thinking about or struggling with when you're first coming to terms with recognizing neurodiversity in your relationship or neurodivergence in yourself as well as within the relationship. So here's a few suggestions in terms of steps that you can take during this time that, like I said, holds some really beautiful moments of hope and appreciation, but also can be challenging and ultimately even tiring and pretty exhausting too. So first and foremost, go back to basics. This is a time of pretty intense mental, emotional, and relational work to do this twist, reorienting. And so it's really important that you take good care of your body during this time, because that's going to make all the hard work you're doing that much easier to navigate and go smoother in the long run. So I'm serious. Some things like drinking plenty of water, eating food at regular intervals, getting rest, getting some downtime if you need it, some time to just like veg out or unplug, having plenty of sleep at night, and also getting forms of movement that feel good to you. Maybe getting some fresh air, getting some gentle walks, doing some yoga, but maybe you're the type of person that likes to really like sweat it out and you get some heavy cardio in there, right? But take good care of your body. You're working hard right now. Your body needs attention and it needs to be nourished so that you can have as many of your resources online and accessible to you internally that can support you through this process. So another piece to kind of keep in mind is it's important to be patient and give this process time. Like I said, it really doesn't last forever. The intensity of it calms down, and sometimes there are kind of new discoveries within this larger umbrella that keep sort of popping up and sending people to some version of this again. But it honestly, it's rarely I almost want to say never. It's just like never say never, right? But it's very rare that you're going to be back in a space of this much intensity about this again. Like, this is temporary and it will pass. And so trust in that, right? And be patient with yourself. Don't try to sort through everything, have every feeling, replay every memory. Don't try to do it all at once. Give yourself time. Let yourself just be where you're at today in this moment. Take it a breath at a time. Just be okay with going slow and being gentle with yourself and gentle with your partner too, if you guys are working through this discovery together. So in terms of some more concrete steps to support yourself that are about like helping you make sense out of everything, one of the best things you can do is education. Education. You know, the more you know, knowledge is power. And a lot of folks who are neurodivergent tend to be awesome researchers. So, and even some folks who aren't love to research. So you might find yourself looking up a lot of things, exploring a lot of different resources during this time, and let yourself do that. Give yourself time and space to get oriented to information about your own neurotype and about your partner's neurotype. I'm going to post a link in the video description to a blog post that I wrote on this topic. And so within that link, you can find some more links to some good places to go for education. I've got other videos on this channel. I've got a bunch of blog posts that I've written, but I also have a lot of resources that other people have created that I really like and trust and like to point people towards as well. So I've got some places to help you get started. But if you just want to take your own approach and go explore, there is so much information to find out there, on podcasts, websites, books, lots of places. And if you're into it and you're enjoying it, like, soak up that information and let it support you and nourish you. And if you come across things as you're doing this educational research that you're like, well, that doesn't sound quite right, that's going to be part of the process too. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you're on the wrong track or you're off base or that something's, you're thinking about this wrong. Neurodivergence, and especially when we talk about like autism, and again, when we talk about ADHD in adults, this can look so different from person to person for so many different reasons. That's a whole different video, right? But there's going to be lots of things that you're going to come across that are going to be like, it doesn't quite sound like me, or that doesn't quite sound like my partner or our relationship. Just when it doesn't sound like it's true, let it go. Just find the pieces that really speak to you and dig into those and focus on those pieces for now. Last but not least, I think it's also really helpful to find neurodiversity informed support and neuro affirming sources of support. So people who understand adult neurodiversity and can speak about that, as well as people who approach different neurotypes from an affirming stance and don't pathologize or look down upon people who are autistic or who have ADHD, but who really can see that there are strengths and that there are, really beautiful qualities in all different kinds of brains. It's just part of our human variation, right? And so you're going to want to find some sources of support that come from that place, that have both the knowledge as well as this stance of appreciation and acceptance. Those are the sources of support that, at least in my experience and the experiences of my client, tend to feel the most like they really kind of hold you and give you more of what you need on this journey. So that could include therapy, either individually or as a couple. It could include coaches. There's some different coaches out there and different coaching formats. It could include attending support groups. There's a lot of support groups that meet virtually for folks, wherever you're located. And again, check out my links for those options. But you can also just dig around on online forums. And I love that there are some like Reddit that you can just search and see what people are talking about. And you don't even have to join or have your own profile. But of course, there's also groups on places like Facebook. And these forums can be a bit of a mixed bag, of course. Like they're vary a lot in terms of who's in them and how they're participating and what the rules are. But often this can be a helpful source of at least gathering some information at a minimum. But at best, they can help you feel a lot less alone and a lot more like you're part of a community. And they can help give you this language and these ways of thinking about things that can really come alongside some of those perceptual shifts you're making. There's just something about people talking about their own lives and real life experiences just in kind of an unfiltered, unstructured way that happens in forums that I think sometimes like sparks more recognition or a different kind of recognition than when the only sources of information that you're consulting or like the only sources of support that you're seeking out are folks who are coming at things from more of a professional stance or more of an expert, quote unquote, stance. Okay, so there you have it. Give yourself some grace, give yourself some, a hug, a deep breath. This is big, what you're moving through right now. And having moved through a process like this in my own life, in my own family of origin, as well as being someone who's like walked alongside lots of people who've moved through this process, I just want to offer you a lot of reassurance that you are headed to some place that is so much better than where you've been. Whatever ways this new lens changes things or doesn't change things in your relationship, just having this map is going to go a long, long ways to helping you feel a lot more oriented and a lot better able to find your way forward wherever you might go from here. So